campaigning for the Brexit Party. And what a star she is. She's an MEP for the South West. She's going to stand as a prospective parliamentary candidate in the forthcoming general election, whenever that is. Has anybody got a clue when that is? She's a wonderful campaigner, a fantastic speaker. So please be upstanding. Give a huge, huge welcome, Anne Widdecombe.
Please welcome to the stage, Anne Widdecombe.
Might be one of several questions. And it's this. Can we have Brexit and at the same time still be subject to the supremacy of EU law? Well, that is what this agreement says. It says that in any dispute over trade or other matters, the EU law will prevail. That is not Brexit. So let me ask you another question. Can we have Brexit, but be confined forevermore to a level playing field with the EU? Well, that is what the political declaration says. It says that when we are trading after Brexit, we must ensure that we have a level playing field with the EU, which is another way of saying Britain cannot be competitive. That is not Brexit. This deal is not Brexit. That is what we have to understand. Yes, it is an improvement on the May deal, which was hardly a difficult thing to achieve. But it is nevertheless not a true Brexit. And at this stage, after 3 years of negotiation, the only form of Brexit which will now actually mean Brexit is a completely clean break. I'm told that these sensitive souls in Parliament don't really like words like betrayal and surrender. Well, if they don't like words like surrender and betrayal, let them stop betraying and surrendering. MP who voted to take no deal off the table, thereby quite deliberately weakening Britain's position at the negotiating table, is guilty of betrayal. What else do you call it to give a foreign power an advantage when Britain is trying to negotiate a deal? What treachery! You're right. And that is what it is. And what else do you call it? If you are prepared in perpetuity to let the law of a foreign power override your own law except surrender. That is what happens when a country loses a war and the victors say, you must obey our law and our law will always override yours. That is not a deal. That is not an agreement between equals. Oh, I'm told, you mustn't call the EU a foreign power. Apparently it isn't. Really? So why does it deal with the Foreign Office? Why doesn't it deal with the Home Office? It is a foreign power that wants to be ever more powerful. In which we have virtually no say at all. And in which, after this deal, we will have no say at all. And that is fine if we have broken cleanly from them, if we are negotiating with them from a position of complete independence, if we are dealing with them as equals, then that is absolutely fine. But those are not the provisions of this deal and this political declaration. And don't run away with the idea that it's all about a 2-year transition period. That political declaration binds us in perpetuity. Now, if that isn't treachery, I don't know what is. Now, if tomorrow they pass the deal, actually they may not even vote on it at all. I mean, this Parliament is as mad as a box of frogs, quite honestly. We've been told that it is sitting on Saturday to vote for the deal. And now we're told, no, it's sitting on Saturday not to vote for the deal quite yet. And these people are actually running the country. Now, it is a very simple message that we must give them, which I have given them at every single one of these get-togethers. And I have said this to them, and I say it again. Either you let Britain leave, or you leave and be replaced by people who will make sure that Britain has a free and independent future. Message to be heard by every single one of those members of Parliament who are going to be voting tomorrow. They need to know that this country has not forgotten, even though they appear to have forgotten, that in 2016, on the day of the referendum, we voted not to half leave, not to quarter leave, not to leave with huge qualifications, not to sort of stay but say we were leaving. We voted simply to leave. I don't deny that Boris has tried his best. He inherited a very poor hand. He was handicapped by a Parliament that had sold out to the EU by taking his strongest card off the table before he even sat down. Aid and comfort has been given to the EU by our Parliament, and the EU has simply tried a process of wearing Britain down, of making sure that we all get so fed up with the various twists and turns and disappointments and betrayals and surrenders and everything else that we say in the end, oh, anything. will take anything. Well, the Brexit Party won't take anything. The Brexit Party will take leave and nothing else. And if necessary, then when the next general election comes, we will make sure that Parliament is thereafter full of people who really understand the meaning of the verb to go. Now, I used to be a member of a certain party. It was called the Conservative Party. Quite what is it conserving at the moment? Certainly not the Union if we're going to have a border down the Irish Sea. It certainly doesn't want to conserve what's left of our independence in this country, let alone to make sure that we really are free and independent, that our children and our children's children are free and independent, and that we do not betray the legacy of those who a few decades ago fought in Europe for that very independence and freedom. Europe their freedom. And in return, they want to take ours. Well, nothing doing, Mr. Juncker. Nothing doing, Mr. Barnier. Absolutely not. Britain has fought for freedom before, and now in a very different way, we will fight for freedom again. And we will... Now, we're told that the country is so fed up with all that's gone on, and I don't blame it, quite honestly, that it will accept this deal. Our job as the Brexit Party is to make it clear to the nation, because you can't make it clear to the MPs, they don't understand anything, is to make it clear to the nation that Brexit is Brexit, and this deal is not and doesn't come anywhere near being Brexit. And in that great cause, we will never give up. How can we put any minor inconvenience ahead of the very independence of the realm? And if there is a clean break Brexit, there isn't going to be the economic Armageddon that is being predicted by Project Fear Part 2. Simply trying to scare us. Well, we weren't scared by Project Fear Mark 1 in 2016, and we're not going to be scared by Project Fear Mark 2 in 2019. We've had 3 years to prepare for a clean break. Months ago, not yesterday, months ago, the Bank of England, I mean, they're no friend to Brexit. The Bank of England said that over 90% of British businesses were then ready for no deal. The head of the port of Calais, and the French never give us any aid and comfort if they can avoid it. The head of the port of Calais says the day after a clean break we wouldn't actually notice any difference. The lorries will still flow. What I know is this. That if the day after the clean Brexit comes along and the lorries are flowing, and out of 100 lorries, 99 go quite normally across the border, and one doesn't, the BBC will find the one that doesn't. Report in breathless tomes of mounting melodrama that this is the result of no deal. Well, if that comes along, all I can say is watch another channel. People say, but there are dangers to leaving in a clean break, and maybe if we do that, there'll be a lot of bumps in the road. Well, there may be a few bumps in the road. Have we so little confidence in Britain that we can't cope with that? They say there may be some loss of jobs. Well, first of all, they cannot show that. But secondly, do you think if we stay in the EU, there are never again going to be any loss of jobs? How many recessions have we been through while we've been in the EU? What's happening to the Eurozone at this moment in the EU? Why do we believe that all will be well if we stay in the EU? There is absolutely no guarantee of that at all. But the guarantee that comes with a clean break is that we get our dignity back again. Because, my gum, what a laughingstock Britain has become. We'll get our dignity back. We will negotiate from a position of complete independence. We will trade all over the world on terms that we and they decide, not on terms specified by the EU to protect its own great protectionist bloc. Those who have no confidence in this country can really seriously worry about a clean break. Only those who have no confidence in this country can really want us to go on being a part of a bloc where we have 1/28th of an input, whose laws always override ours, whose border rules always override ours, whose trade terms always override ours, who lay down rules about tax and VAT and anything else you care to mention. How can anybody with any confidence in this country see that as this country's future? But that's not the future I want for Britain, because I and everybody in this room has confidence in Britain. We haven't now, but we've had, in the course of these negotiations, the worst Prime Minister in history. We still have the worst leader of the opposition in the entire history of the Labour Party. We still have the worst Parliament since the time of Oliver Cromwell. We still have, for a little longer, a Speaker who has abandoned who has abandoned the central role of a speaker, which is sheer impartiality. Which means giving rulings which you may not personally like, but which are nevertheless correct in the interests of parliamentary democracy. Right, change the whole lot of them. Make sure that we have a decent Prime Minister, a brave Parliament, an impartial Speaker, a responsible leader of the opposition. You haven't got it now, but if we can get through a general election on a ticket of nothing more than pure democracy, then we shall have struck a blow for this country's future that generations and generations to come will look back on with admiration and gratitude. Thank you.
Isn't she great? And Widdecombe, ladies and gentlemen. Now,